very often people ask me, why is there so much beauty in your films? Over the last 10, 15 or 20 years, I think this has been a repeated question. I feel that, beauty is something which had to be recovered because we were degraded. Secondly, I think beauty in nature, for instance, is formed through tremendous amount of violence. So it tangentially shows the violence that is there. If you see a miniature, the time element in it is also different. It's not only getting a single event. It's not opening a window to a single event, as usually painting all over the world does. As you hold a book, and you look at a miniature painting, you tend to shift it in this fashion, towards or away from the light. Or there may be just a subtle shift of little less or more light. And to do all this in the cinema without going over the top was also a question, to do it with the utmost subtlety so that the minimality of that can help reach that time-space equation. So that was the attempt. And so from Khayal Gatha, I could go more easily to Kasbah, where I went to another miniature tradition of the mountains. The Mughals reached there later. Jahangir, the emperor, had gone there. And there have been waves of Rajasthani people from the desert going up to the mountains. All its costuming is based on that. And like I was describing to you, the way a miniature is held, what they do in Kangra is something very subtle with the color. So there is a layer underneath one other sort of transparent color, So normally I thought these colors would get mixed and you'd get a third color. But so one had to choose the kind of materials which kept both the layers intact. And so you could see it in different light, differently in different light. And also that difference then made for a new emotional thing that was being said. So the mise en scène works in that fashion over there. Also, when, say, a room in the deep interior is lit in a certain way, it may become cooler. And when you have the person come out in the corridor or in a courtyard, it takes on other illuminations, So all that is there in Kasbah. And the whole question of making fun of oneself instead of the character, because I was never satisfied with what I saw of presentations of Chekhov on the stage, both in India and in England, where he's much loved. But I think the general tendency is to just make it a bit farcical, that tragic farce that they normally play it. And it ends up, I think, making fun of the spectator himself. The spectator looks on his own humanity as a caricature. I don't think Chekhov is of that kind. This is a rather English way of doing it. The way they do it is of caricature, So I wanted to get to some idiom where I could also make fun of my own self. That's what I tried in Kasbah, and I think by and large it has not failed because it's my most liked film, undoubtedly, both in India and abroad. It is the film that people like most. And I think it's possibly because they like themselves at the end of the film. After Kaspa, I went to this completely new relationship with the Indian uh, body, the Indian body in touch with its um, mental parameters, which have normally been just thought of as, highly philosophical, spiritualist rather than spiritual, parameters. It was such a wonderful experience to discover with Kelucharan Mahapatra, the great dancer, that the body itself has offered these beautiful thoughts, and possibly the original hieroglyphics, which have still not been decoded, from Mohenjo-daro, etc., are embedded in the gestures of the body. There's almost the entire experience of evolution contained in the thought which emanates from dance. I think at this moment, for instance, the most important thing is to get the individual to be herself. And no culture seems to be offering that, as an alternative to a globalization which is, not thought through at all. And they keep on talking about the global and the local, and the local is often a caricature of what the global desires,